Good morning, everyone. We're here today with Fayiaz Chaudhri, the CEO of AIMACTEK, to talk about machine learning and AI in the legal industry. How are you doing, Fayiaz?
Yeah, doing really well. Looking forward to the talk. This is going to be fun. So yeah, ready to get started.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about your experience.
So I've been a lawyer for 20 years. I started off in private practice for a firm in England. I then moved in-house. I managed a department with PSINet. After that, I managed a department with Epson. I was the head of legal for EMEA for Epson. From there, I moved to Stereo, where again I was managing people, and then from there I was a GC for Infosys for about 6 years, and from there I was the general counsel for Atos for the last 2 years. So I've been in the legal industry for the last 20 years or so in an executive capacity, and as of January of this year, I am now the CEO of AIMACTEK, and I was brought in to run the company mainly because our product is geared towards the legal industry, and it's something which the lawyers in-house and law firms are benefiting from. And so for some reason they thought I knew what I was doing. So here I am.
Oh, awesome. So give me a view of AI and how it could be used in the legal industry.
So I think AI is absolutely critical for the legal industry. And the thing with AI is that it's all about, it's more useful where you have a large amount of data. So machine learning and AI, it's all very useful when you have a large amount of data. It's the reason why machine learning is being used by Tesla to try and improve their automated cars. They're getting data from 1 billion miles or so. They're feeding it into their to the machine learning engine, which is then reading it, understanding the real life conditions, and improving their autonomous driving. So one of the reasons why the autopilot is really good. So wherever you have a large amount of data, machine learning and AI is really, really critical and can really be very helpful. And legal work is one where, fortunately or unfortunately, there's a large amount of data. And there's a large amount of precedents, there's a large amount of data. So trying to disseminate that data, or trying to make sure that the data makes sense, trying to get some value out of that data is very important. And that's where machine learning and AI can really help.
Okay, so what would the advantages of AI be then for lawyers and in-house teams?
So a number of advantages. I give you a very straightforward example of something which I dealt with about a year ago. My CEO came to me and said, "Hey Fires, for our top 50 customers, can you go and check if there's a non-solicitation clause?" And I said to him, "Well, I can't do it." And he said, "Well, what do you mean you can't do it?" And I said, "Well, I actually don't have the capacity to do it." And I said to him, "Look, for this, I'm going to have to get a 2-man team together. They're going to have to find the contracts. They're going to have to read the contracts and analyze the contracts. They're going to have to find the non-solicitation clause, and I'm hoping they won't make a mistake. Once they've done that, they will then cut and paste that into some sort of spreadsheet, and eventually we will get a database of our non-solicitation clauses, which are there in the top 50 customers, and for those we don't. And then I can come back to you and I can give you the results. And so give me a month or so, I'll come back to you." So that's a good example of where a task which is very, very manual and labor intensive can be automated through AI and machine learning. Now, if you were using a machine learning platform, and particularly ours with AIMACTEK, all you would do is you would have your database of contracts already on file. You would type in non-solicitation, you'd press enter, and within 3 seconds it's found all of the non-solicitation provisions, it's sorted them out by contract name for you, which you can now export very quickly into a Word file and send it out. So that's an example where using, for example, our machine learning platform, you can do this task very, very quickly and efficiently. So a large amount of data dissemination can be done much more effectively using machine learning and AI. Now, the AI, there's 2 parts to it. Every contract is different, and every contract has a slightly different interpretation of how they draft clauses, what they look for, what's contained in it. And so the machine learning part is really important because the algorithms are self-learning. And so if you're implementing machine learning and AI, what you're really doing is you're getting the algorithms to understand your contracts, to get to a stage where it's self-learning and actually being able to look out for and validate some of the eccentricities which may be there in contracts, and then allowing you to do the data dissemination really, really quickly and efficiently. So yeah, AI and machine learning is really important within the legal industry. It will make your life much more efficient, allows you to do value add work, allows you to do the work in less amount of time with greater accuracy, greater efficiency, and actually I would say it even helps with the lawyer retention, because if you're getting people to do the same repetitive work again and again and again, it's taking them a huge amount of time. Probably not the best. Probably not the best job for them in the long run.
Okay, so what challenges have you noticed with implementing machine learning and AI in the legal world?
So the challenges are twofold. The first challenge is with technology. 3 years ago, the technology wasn't there. We had e-discovery tools, which were not really using machine learning at all, completely different technology. The technology wasn't there, so you couldn't do it. You basically couldn't do it. Eventually, particularly in the last 6 months, technology has come to a stage where now it's completely able to do transactional work, particularly, which you couldn't do before. So the first challenge was technology. The technology is now there. I mean, we still have trouble with PDFs, and the PDF, OCR recognition OCR technology for parsing data is still not the best. And it doesn't really matter what sort of vision API you use, even if the big ones like AWS or Google, it's not really there. And so we've had to actually come up with a solution which takes that OCR parsing technology, but then adds machine learning to try and get it to a stage where it's workable for lawyers. So there are some slight technological challenges, but I think most of that's been covered. So that was the first thing. The second challenge is a mindset issue. I mean, we lawyers, we are risk averse, and we're risk averse, and we're taught to think in a very risk averse way. So therefore, we're very, very change challenged. And what I mean by that is we are very resistant to change. I mean, we don't want to change. We've done it one way, that's the only way we want to do it. The fact is, there's a necessity to change. If you don't change, you're going to be left behind. You won't be competitive in the industry anymore. And so there's a necessity to change. I think the challenges were twofold. The technology, which is now there, the second major challenge is actually just a change of mindset. So saying to lawyers, yes, you can use the technology. And secondly, you can trust that technology because the accuracy is there. And with machine learning, it's all about training the data. And so, you go through thousands of documents to train it, and then it becomes, if you have the right algorithms, and this is where the data scientists come into play, it becomes self-learning. So the more documents you put in, the more it understands, a particular version of particular eccentric nature of a law firm or a legal department. And so with the technology there, then it becomes a mindset issue. And the key thing is this. Someone once said to me, actually my ex-CEO said this to me. I met him in Google Next, and he said to me, oh Fayiaz, the day you can give me an indemnity for the product is the day I think it will be useful. And that's completely the wrong way to look at it, with all due respect to him. Completely the wrong way to look at it. That's like saying Microsoft should give you an indemnity for every single email you send using Microsoft Outlook. It's a tool, you should use it as a tool. It's not supposed to go and get rid of lawyers. It's not supposed to be there as an alternative to a lawyer. It's supposed to be there, and it's a tool for the lawyer to use using his legal skills to make his life more efficient. So I think that's the other thing. It's a change in mindset where you've got to really change people's perceptions and show them that it's a tool like any other, like your email client, like your Google Drives or whatever else. It's a tool like any other, like your PowerPoint for presentations. It's a tool like any other which you can use to make your life that much easier and to do the work that much more efficiently.
How is Aimactek involved in implementing machine learning and AI?
Yeah, so we've talked about AI and machine learning and what it can and cannot do. I think the key thing, it's quite interesting because I'm now in this field and I'm running a company. So I give an example of what we do. What we do is we do transactional work mainly, and also a little bit of sort of mergers acquisitions. So we have 3 functionalities all into one platform. We have the search functionality using machine learning algorithms, so intelligent search. You can use that to do compliance, due diligence, to search your existing contract database, and use it also to do your data room analysis for your mergers and acquisitions. And that takes a fraction of a second. The second piece of functionality we have, again in the same platform, is risk analysis. You can now do your risk analysis within a fraction of a second. You can actually go in and say, I want to look and see if my top 100 customers have a high risk SLA clause, and you can look at them, It would do the analysis for you, again using algorithms based on your own risk rules, which are completely customizable, which basically means you have the ability to really make the platform compatible with your own risk appetite, for your law firm's risk appetite, for your organization's risk appetite. So for an organization, it makes complete sense. You do your risk analysis of your existing database, you can add business value, you can do analytics on your contracts, you can actually use it for strategic direction of the company. For law firms, it's a great customer retention tool. You can now say to your customers, oh, give us your contracts, we'll do analysis, we'll tell you if you're within market range, outside of market range, etc. with your negotiations. And then the third functionality, which again we have it all in the same platform, this is why we're so unique, is the markup of a new contract. So now you can feed in the contract, you can click on it, within 5-6 seconds it will read the contract, it will tell you what provisions are missing, so you can add those in, and you can add them in with a click of a button. It will tell you what's acceptable, what isn't, and you can edit it. So with our kind of platform, it's something which allows you to do your breadth of transactional work and your sort of due diligence and compliance work in a fraction of a time, with ease, with efficiency, and it's the kind of an end-to-end platform. So that's kind of what Aimactek does, and that fits in really well with the needs of the industry at the moment, because I mean every in-house GC who'll be watching this, or every in-house lawyer, will know about the pressures they have, particularly towards the end of the quarter, and end of the half year, and end of year, when you have so many contracts you have to review, you have RFPs where you have a very minimum time, you're trying to review them, you don't have time to do a great job, you're struggling, you're getting harassed by the business people, they need to get an answer quickly, you're trying to negotiate and finalize. Imagine having a tool which allows you to do a MSA or 100-page MSA within an hour and a half rather than 3 or 4 days. For your general counsel's office work, again in organizations, you know this because if anyone came to you and said, can you analyze the contracts, you can't do it, you don't have the manpower, you don't have the manual ability to do it, you need to have it automated. That's where we help too. And finally, for law firms, and also for your mergers acquisitions as well, and again for organizations where if you're buying a company, you want to do a data room analysis, do it for yourself, takes a few seconds now and you can get it done. And for law firms, it's the same thing. You're having to do fixed fee data analysis, you're having to do fixed fee transactional work, you're trying to retain your customers, and you can use all three functionalities to do that, and do that very, very well. So that's really what Aimactek does, and it kind of fits in, like I said, very, very neatly into the requirements of the industry at the moment.
Speaking of lawyers, what advice would you give considering AI?
So I would say to them, you have to keep an open mind. You have to actually be at the forefront of using AI. I think that's very important. And it's important because it changes your complete career path too. And people don't realize this. It would change your career path. I'll give an example. You're a general counsel, you're an in-house department, you're running a department. Maybe your CEO comes and says the same thing he'd said to me like 7-8 months ago, and says, can you do an analysis of like my top 100 customers and tell me if there's a high risk or medium risk SLA provision. You can't do it because you don't have the manpower to do it manually. If you have a tool which can automate that for you, suddenly you can add strategic business value. You start adding strategic business value, you start getting a seat on the table with the other executives. You're no longer a back office function, you're a strategic leader within the organization. You're adding strategic value, which is actually implementing this and also affecting the strategy of the company. So it changes your career path completely. It helps you with the retention of lawyers. You're getting people to do things much more efficiently and effectively, and therefore it's helping. It makes you money. If you're a law firm and you're doing fixed price work, and a lot of them, it's particularly medium-sized law firms, are now having to do fixed price work for mergers, acquisitions, for transactional work. If you can do it in 90% less of the time, you're making money on that fixed fee basis. If you can do your data room analysis within 2 hours rather than 2 weeks, it's making you money. And so the first thing I would say was have an open mind. The second thing I would say was try out the technology, get used to it, spend time really looking at the technology, and then trust it. Trust the technology. And the third thing I would say is remember, it's a tool, it's not supposed to be replacing you. So your skills as a lawyer are still going to be required and necessary to make sure you're getting full use of the tool. And what I have found really are the better lawyers make better use of the tool, and the lesser lawyers are there where they don't really have the full benefit of the tool. So I think my view would be keep an open mind, adopt it, even though it's changing the way you're doing things, because we're at a stage now where we have to adopt. We have to adopt, or we will become dinosaurs and we become non-competitive. And we have data which is there, which is hundreds and hundreds of sort of gigabytes of data within contracts, within your contract database, with everything in this world. And it's not just the legal work. You look at everything. We had the revolutions. I give you this example of revolutions. We had the Industrial Revolution, and everything changed, and industry came in. And for people who were doing it manually, now suddenly you have machines who are helping you do it. The second revolution in my end was actually the revolution of the internet. So the internet revolution, where everything has now changed. You can now search all over the world for the best curry. You can search for the best recipe of the curry. You can search to find what the best phone is. You can do everything because suddenly the internet. When I was 18 years old, there was no internet. And internet was new to us. I first found what internet was when I went to university, and that's as it was just being implemented. And we had those routers which were the dial-up routers, and they didn't really work. And you could only use the internet. If you didn't use the phone, you couldn't do both in one go because it would take it up. So I think that's happened. So you had the internet revolution, which revolutionized everything. You had the likes of Facebook and Google and all these companies which came in because you had the internet revolution. Then you had the green revolution. The green revolution's changed everything. You've now got electric cars, Teslas there, because everyone's trying to be greener and healthier for the environment. The next revolution we have now is the data revolution, where you have so much data, sort of terabytes of data, hundreds and hundreds of terabytes of data, of which you can use, and you're using it now for autonomous driving. Look at your autopilot in your Teslas, for all of you people who have a Tesla. Look at what you can do with your smart fridges and your smart your smart fridges and your smart appliances. Look what you can do with your Nest controller. Look what you can do with your legal transactions. The data revolution is here. And what you should be able to do is you should be able to ingest 100 times more data in a tenth of the time, and be able to, and that's what it does. And this is what legal technology does, and legal AI and machine learning does. Allows you to ingest 100 times more data in a fraction of the time, and allows you to actually make proper use of that data. So this is the data revolution. You have to use AI. You have to get on the bandwagon. If you don't, you will be left behind. Actually, you will be uncompetitive as a lawyer, as a law firm, as a career, and even trying to have a career as a lawyer.
If our viewers want to learn more about Aimactek or machine learning and AI, what can the viewers do?
So I'm very happy, and I've done a few talks on this already, and I'm very happy to sit down and have panel discussions in organisations where it makes sense, like ACC or other organisations. I've done those previously, so very happy to do that. So we do these sessions with a larger group of audiences, with a larger panel, and to give people more information. In terms of Aimactek, do go on our website, www.aimactek.com. Do have a look at the demo. It's only a 1-minute demo. You'll be stuck with my voice again, unfortunately. But it's a 1-minute demo. It gives you a quick preview of the 3 functionalities. I think it will wow you. Do have a look at it, and then come to us. Either reach out to me directly on my email on LinkedIn, or even reach out. There's a contact us form on the website. Fill that in, and reach out to us, and we'll set up a demo for you. And if you just want a general discussion on AI and machine learning, or you just want to know about the market and what else is out there, and you want to say, hey, Fayiaz, tell me about your product, but also I'm trying to do automated billing. I'm trying to do responses to my litigation claims which I get. How can I do that? I'm very happy to help, very happy to continue that conversation. Do reach out to me on LinkedIn if you're not connected to me. Reach out to me on email. It's firstname.lastname@aimactek.com. do reach out to me through the website. So however you contact us, we'll be delighted to help you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.